All right, everybody, what's up, and welcome to your reading for the new moon in Virgo happening on the 14th of September in the Northern Hemisphere and the 15th of September in the Southern Hemisphere. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Kate. I run Indigo Instinct Healing. I do articles and channeled readings for starseeds, as well as private readings and sessions for those of you who are looking for a little more path and purpose in their lives. Before I get to the reading, this theme has been circling for a couple of days, and as I've checked in with other people who live their lives quite energetically, I've noticed that everyone seems to be feeling the same thing, and that is this sort of like grating, heavy, harsh loss, ugliness, this kind of weight that we're feeling. And I just, first of all, want to recognize that you're very much not alone if you're feeling this in this wave, but we're going through a purge. And for those of you who live in the Northern Hemisphere, I mean, it always applies to the Southern Hemisphere as well. You just have to flip my meaning. And so we're entering fall up here in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is more than ever so necessary to get in and amongst the flow of the seasons and to fully allow everything to fall away as we descend into the colder months and the darker months. And for most of us, many of us, this is really scary. It's really scary to picture the version of yourself coming off and not knowing what lies underneath. You know, there's a course that I'm preparing for the winter about the dark goddess, and it explores just that. Allowing ourselves to be comfortable with the unknown in the deepest sense. When we remove a layer of ourselves, what is left? And being okay with that action. And as we resist that in the present moment, it can often manifest as us having to go through and go into all of the crap that we're letting go. And so when we tend to hold on and we're not comfortable with the letting go, we're not comfortable with the release, we have to sift through the actual crap. So we have to sift through the negative thoughts, the old self-doubts, the things that we don't believe anymore, the old perceptions of our bodies, the old perceptions of how we relate to one another. We have to actually go into those spaces and revisit them just to remind ourselves of, oh, no, I'm good. I definitely don't need to go back there. I'm definitely not trying to hold on to that aspect of myself. And so we see by re-experiencing that this isn't for us and it's for us to let go of. But if we can trust that what we're letting go of is for our highest good and for our best versions of ourselves and is safe, and that the universe inherently has our back and we are inherently supporting ourselves towards the greater good and this more aligned path with ourselves, then we can release what is being shed without having to sift through it all. And so I just wanted to leave that with you as a thematic concept. If you're going through the thick of it right now and you feel like you're just somehow skirting along the bottom or covered in junk again and you don't know how you got there and you thought everything was going well, it really is a matter of being okay with letting go of everything without knowing exactly what it is you're letting go of, and just trusting that what remains after the purge will be exactly what you need, and what you've let go of, whether you realize it or not, is exactly what you didn't. So onto the reading here. It's so funny, I always get such strong messages from my guides about which deck to start with, and I had a call to start with that deck, and now that I'm finished speaking about that, I'm getting the message to switch. So maybe it was just a matter of holding on to what's familiar. Oh, the irony. Okay. And just before we get into the actual cards, September, Virgo season, it's so commonly associated with like cleaning out your house and getting your health stuff organized and all these things. And Virgo is very particular and notices fine details. And so the whole health, wealth, cleanliness aspect is great. But what is being asked to be brought forwards for this particular season is more of a combination of Virgo and Libra together. And so that's the September, October, that whole phase. And if you zoom out and you see those two signs holistically together, it's more about gentleness. It's more about this, the Virgonian side of, I went to the effort to bake you a cake with all your dietary restrictions for your birthday because I love you. And then on top of that, the gentleness of the Libra, recognizing that not everybody is the same and we need to be mindful of how to care for each individual separately. And so really embody the concept for this next couple of months that we are entering the season of gentleness. And if you can pair entering the season of gentleness with the shedding and the purging, you're going to experience a completely different type of fall or spring, that emergence, than you ever have before. So the season of gentleness, radical tenderness. I did a little video on my Instagram about that, radical tenderness, the season of gentleness. See if you can embody that. Okay. Interesting. So right away, this card is about relationships, maybe about a particular relationship you have in mind. And I tend to get this card often. Butterflies have a very deep significance to me, and so it seems funny that in this season I've pulled them quite often. See if I can get to focus a bit better. But what is going on in this particular relationship that you've got your mind set on is that the person who you are hoping will reciprocate, they're not necessarily in that space for it yet. You know, what's the opposite of transformation is staying in the same place, or the opposite of emergence from the cocoon is being in the chrysalis. And so this is very much not a you've got the wrong door, you need to walk away card. It's more about, can you really focus on cultivating the aspects of the relationship you're seeking within yourself right now? Do you wish you had someone to hang out with at night? Okay, well, maybe you need to pick up a hobby again and you need to start doing something you actually find interesting. Or maybe you're just seeking that physical comfort. Do you know how to comfort yourself physically? Do you know some somatic practices or some self-love practices that allow you to feel held and cared for within your own body? So really what this message is coming through with right now is that it's not a matter of no, it's just a matter of not yet. And knowing that it is coming around the corner, so don't just throw it in the trash. But patience and a little bit more focus on self is going to be helpful in this situation. And in conjunction with that, I pulled two cards at once. So this is, again, another relationship card. It's about a different person, though. Interesting. Lots of cards in reverse today. We got the Wolf Mastery card, also in reverse. There we go. Nice focus this time. And this is to be mindful of the people who are very close in your life, or one person in particular. Because what comes across as hyper-independence or having it all together or being too busy for you is a mask of deep loneliness and self-isolation. And so do you know someone in your life who has pushed away a little bit and who seems a little bit harder to access recently? Be mindful, and instead of getting offended about how they haven't reached out or you haven't heard from them or you're not spending enough time together, be mindful of the fact that this could be a tactic that they are executing that they're not necessarily conscious of. It could be a self-preservation tactic. It could be a self-sabotaging practice that they are just so used to doing and they don't even realize. And so in this season of gentleness and tenderness, Can you reach out to these people? Can you reach out to this person and say, hey, I'm noticing that you seem kind of distant. Are you okay? Do you want to spend some time together? Do you want to carve out some time together? What can I do to support you? Just flipping the lens of taking offense from the people who feel like they're distancing themselves from you, and recognizing that it's maybe a silent cry for help. Okay. Last card from this deck. Also, drop in the comments below. I know there's like a solid 100 viewers of these videos, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you. But please drop in the comments this time if you've been having crazy dreams, because I have been having the most insane dreams for the past couple of weeks nonstop, and I'm very curious to hear if anyone else is having that experience. Okay, this is interesting. This has also been coming up quite a bit. We have this general veil of heaviness that we're feeling, this feeling of, it's funny, we use the word loss, but it really is release. And the beautiful hummingbird, this card with all of its colors and its little animal in the middle, is really coming forward to nudge us in the direction of taking account of all of the beautiful things in our life daily, if possible. And I'm not talking about a gratitude list, because people tend to turn away from that concept sometimes, but can you make a list of the things in your life that you feel in your heart are good in this moment? Or if you really want to play the comparative game, compare yourself to where you were last year, because I guarantee you're in a better spot. And so this is just a reminder to zoom out on the bigger picture and to take stock, take conscious account. I had a practice a few years ago of writing down one really good thing that happened each day and putting it in a jar. And then when I was feeling really down, which generally fell around New Year's, I would dump the jar out and take stock of all the good things that had happened. And sometimes I do that now when I write it on my calendar, good things that happened in the day, and I just write down one thing. But really take conscious effort. This is your workout right now, to take conscious stock and conscious recording of the positive things happening in your life. Because if you can build yourself up with this positive library of good things happening in your life, it'll be easier to categorize the heavy stuff as moments instead of things that cloud the whole. Alrighty. Interesting. Okay, along the theme of like tenderness and softness, we got this grace, be graceful in your movement and action card. And what seems to be going on in the bigger picture globally is this harshness, this tearing away at ourselves, this picking at our skin or our bodies or pulling at our clothes, or just feeling uncomfortable with ourselves or uncomfortable with the world around us, and cutting things down as a result. And what we're being asked to do this new moon is to see if we can approach all of those same situations with a tender curiosity. Like when you see a little kid who is hurt and another little kid comes to check on them, the curiosity and the gentleness that that other little kid embodies when they're asking that first one if they're okay. Can you embody that type of curiosity and gentleness when you're dealing with your day-to-day moments that feel uncomfortable? And instead of seeing it as, this is a negative thing I have to change, or this is a habit I'm trying to kick, and this year I'm going to kick it because if you're like me, I know that those can be so tempting to fall into. What we're really being asked going into this season is to break patterns by taking a different approach. And so when you have those moments like, oh, I'm going to bed really late, I'm scrolling Instagram until 3 in the morning, I'm not getting up on time, I'm disorganized, all these things, can we instead approach that as, or with, a curious gentleness, a gentle curiosity, instead of seeing it as a negative attribute that exists in our life that we're trying to get rid of? Because, like I mentioned in one of my other videos that I posted on Instagram recently, we can't get rid of those negative emotions that exist in our lives by pushing them out. We only dissipate anxiety, depression, negative self-talk, all of these things by embracing and acknowledging and integrating those feelings into our current schema. And then we can realize that they don't have the same power over us as they used to. But we don't get rid of anxiety by pushing it away. We get rid of anxiety by bringing it close and holding it to ourselves and recognizing that it's a part of ourselves and being really tender and loving with that part. And so when it comes to this curiosity and this movement in our day-to-day actions, can we, instead of picking and prodding, can we rest our hands gently, or can we put a blanket over, or can we soothe instead of tear away? Okay, I've got one more. Okay, and this seems to be on the theme of, this is something you don't see coming. Yeah, okay, this is really what we're talking about all up here. So what we don't see coming is this massive transformation. And I will tell you right now, you are going to have this transformation whether you resist it or not. Whether you are kind to yourself or not, whether you are harsh with yourself or not, this transformation is fully on its way, and it's already started. And so instead of being in that heavier space and this, why won't things change for me, and I feel like I'm doing the same patterns over and over again, can we instead get really excited about the fact that we know something positive is coming around the corner for us? And maybe can we start to dream about what that looks like? If you could change an aspect of your life, or if you could just become a little different, what would that look like? Maybe that aspect is coming towards you. Maybe it's unrealistic. Maybe it's, I wish I looked differently, or, it has to do with something that really just involves accepting yourself for who you are. But if it's something a little bit more abstract in the world, like I wish I lived in a different place, or I wish I had this job opportunity, or I wish I was working in music, or something like that, you will be pleasantly surprised at how quickly this creates and manifests itself for you in real life. You just have to be willing to get on the slide that takes you to the new destination instead of resisting the slipperiness of it. Can you lean into that slide instead of trying to slow yourself down? Because God knows none of us can slow ourselves down when we're on a slide. So rest assured, get excited, creative, ready to embody this deep change that is coming towards you, and welcome it. So that is all I have for you folks today. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Please like the video if you did watch, or send it to a friend. I am trying to grow my channel and get this message out to further people and starseeds. If you want to read more articles about what I do, about the energies of the world, about what's going on holistically, check me out on medium.com. I do have an account there and write a few articles. I also have a newsletter which you can sign up in the description box below. And as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and blessings.